Hello, everyone. Welcome once again to your daily recap of this 2026 FIFA World Cup. I am Phil from Phil's Corner. Thank you so much for joining me. And wow, what a day of action we had yesterday, man. I told y'all there wasn't going to be a draw. I knew it, I said it, and I was right. There were plenty of goals in yesterday's games, a minimum of like, what? The lowest amount of goals scored in yesterday's games was 3 goals. That was Argentina versus Algeria, just because Argentina decided to shut Algeria out and Algeria decided not to play football. By the way, Algeria, second highest goal scorers in African qualification. Second highest goal scorers in African qualification. They should for the World Cup. They should have done better. They did score. You know what? We're just gonna start off that game. Well, I was gonna start. Normally, we start off with like every other in order of the match slate, but we have to start off with brilliance because this man deserves it. But I'm just gonna quickly talk about Algeria. They had a goal. It was disallowed for offside. They tried to probe here and there. It didn't look like scoring. Argentina looked like the world champs for a reason. It's not just a one-man show. They have quality from top to bottom all across the spine of that team. But let's just talk. But yesterday it was a one-man show, really. Not really. It's a team game, but my goodness, this player, Lionel Messi. What more can we say about this man? Is he the goat? Is he not the goat? Wherever you fall on that spectrum, on that debate, doesn't really matter. For because last night he reminded us of what football could be, what it used to be, what it's supposed to be. That individual brilliance, that ability to get the ball and then just run at defenders. Have you can see them backtracking because they're at 38. They're still terrified of him. Beautiful finish, top corner. Yeah, the keeper probably should have said that. Keeper definitely shouldn't have allowed the second goal. And I mean, talk about great players with flair and technique who would run at you. That the keeper's dad would probably would have some things to say about you know keeping out great players, but that's never here nor there. It was a rough night for him, but you know it's understandable when you're up against great. It's not understandable actually, but we'll give him a pass. We shouldn't, but we will. The third goal could do nothing about that. That was vintage. No, when you're watching wrestling and RKO does that DDT, Randy Orton, right? Does that DDT from the second rope, and Michael Cole goes like vintage Orton. That was vintage Messi. Edge of the box, run at the defenders, into the corner. It doesn't have to be high, just low, away from the keeper, into the corner, 3-0. Hat trick on World Cup opening day. Ties Miroslav Klose for most World Cup goals in history. He has nothing left to prove. He just does this for the love of the game. And we have to, at some point, we just have to be grateful for what we get to experience. We have to be grateful for seeing a great, for seeing a goat, maybe the goat, do what he does even at 38. Speaking of goats, though, maybe a World Cup goat, a future goat, did his thing at in the first match, France versus Senegal. Senegal better team in the first half. Should have been up at least a goal, maybe 2 goals. Nicholas Jackson hit the post. It was a good shot from him. Unlucky, then very lucky for Mike Mannion that the ball didn't go in after off his heel. But then Ismail Assar, who was poor in terms of end product all day, fantastic like making runs, going forward, all that stuff. But in terms of end product, Saul was very poor, and he should have put them ahead at the break. But France woke up. When you don't take those big chances against big teams, you pay for them later, and that's exactly what France had them do. They made them pay for it. Mbappe with the first after uh, Mendy was the Senegalese keeper was pulling off heroics against both Mbappe and Olise. Olise ran the show, fantastic. Got an assist. I think got 2 assists. No, he definitely got 1 assist. And there was a beautiful pass to Mbappe. Great finish. Mendy couldn't do anything about that. Second goal, Bradley Barcola came on, showing great composure, great finish. I never rated him. I love Bradley Barcola. I never rated him as a finisher before, but that was he showed what he could do. I guess the colors of France just changes people. And of course, Mbappe scored another screamer right after Mbappe put put some hope um, in Senegalese hearts. But it ended 3-1. Fun fact: everyone who scored a goal in that game either plays or had at some point played for Paris Saint-Germain. So it shows their level. It shows their level of pull in the world game right now at the highest level. But fantastic game, great game of football. France looking like the favorites that they probably are. When that attack gets going, it like they can be really hard to keep at bay. And Senegal learned that they played well. Senegal, they ran out of gas, and the pace and the quick feet and the quick passing was just too much for them to handle. It was a great game of football, followed up by another really good game of football. And now look, Mbappe scored two. Messi scored a hat trick. In between that, Erling Braut Haaland announced his name on the world game. The first goal was classic Haaland. Second goal, I'll never. I know FIFA is in the past has been proven to be a corrupt organization. Even now, with what's going on with the World Cup and everything, one could point at possible corruption. I don't know. I never want to accuse players of corruption, but I have no idea. I have no idea what that Iraqi goalkeeper was doing there. Hassan, not a clue. For Haaland's second goal, after you had just equalized, after Ayman after Ayman Hussein had just equalized, I have no idea, no clue at all what my guy is doing there. Hussein should have definitely done better in preventing. Hussein, not Hassan, should have done better, and he should just clear the ball. But Ayman Hussein, what that was a great header. The game was 1-1 at that point, and they could have gone on for a little bit longer at that stage. But you know what? It is what it is. We will we give players passes on this channel. Apparently, I'll give them a pass. Not no one really expects much from Iraq, which I guess makes it worse because at that point you really do feel like you have a shot in the game. And it's not like Norway would have just gone on to obliterate. You really don't know what could have happened in that match if that mistake hadn't happened. But we do know later on what did happen. Ostergaard got a goal, a very good header from the big center back. It was, from a corner, and then of course Ayman Hassan unfortunately scored an own goal, so he scored it for both teams in the match, and the final score would be 4-1 to the Norwegians. And now that brings us to the final game: Austria versus Jordan. Jordan did play very well. Jordan played well for the most part. Austria were dominant, especially in the first half. They got the goal that they deserved. It's a beautiful finish from Romano Schmidt. A curling effort, but um, they were pegged back in the second half by Oli One, by with a very good finish of his own. It's similar too. All these bending both finishes, and like you see the keepers could just do nothing about the goals. Like there's something majestically beautiful in football with those bended curling efforts, man. In America, we have all these ads of David Beckham for the World Cup, and it felt like seeing on the pitch of how they bent it in like Beckham in on all of them. Those goals. Another own goal though in this match for this time for Austria, just like in the Norway game. Yazan Al Arab was unfortunate enough to put the ball in the back of his net. trying to mark Marco Arnautovic. Arnautovic was get his goal later on by a penalty. It's a handball in the box from an Arnautovic cross and led to a penalty. He also had another goal which was disallowed because of a handball in the build-up. One of those like when you see in Buemo do it in the Premier League and it's not given. But anyway, it's ultimately the Jordan couldn't capitalize on that going in their favor. 3-1, it was to end. It was a very. Jordan could have snuck out a win in this game. They really could have, but it just wasn't meant to be. And folks, we've been talking about goats today, and the goats were on show yesterday. The goat was on show yesterday, and now we have a chance for another one to answer. Look, I know I picked the Portuguese to win this competition. I know I did. They're gonna have to do that in spite of the fact that they have Roberto Martinez as their manager for one, and for two, we have to we know what Messi was and still is, but we know what Cristiano was. I don't want to say I doubt Cristiano. I don't want to say that there's a chance that he will be Portugal's downfall. DR Congo are a very good team. I think one of the last teams who qualified because they were, and that beat Jamaica. I'm pretty sure to qualify, but this they're here. They're a decent squad. DR Congo. They need Ronaldo to fire. He scored a hat trick at the World Cup opening game before, but that was 8 years ago in Russia. This is a completely different kettle of fish for him. It's gonna be a 1 p.m. Eastern Time kickoff. Houston, Texas. That Houston Heat. I don't know if they're going to start him. They probably shouldn't, actually. Starting lineups are probably out right now. With a quick check, Ronaldo starts. He starts, and he has a chance to show the world what he is capable of doing. I don't think he's going to score a hat trick, though, but I do have faith in the Portuguese in this game. I'm going to give it to them 3-1. We'll see if the GOAT can respond. After that, it will be the English in Dallas, another game which is playing in Texas at the Arlington, rather, home of the Cowboys. The English are under immense pressure. It's coming home and all that stuff. We'll see how they fare. It's a 1 p.m. It's a 3 p.m. Eastern Time kickoff for them. They are going to have to be at their best, but you know, we'll see how they do against the Croatian team. I think they'll win. I don't think Croatia has what they used to be. I don't know if they have it in them. 2-1 to England. We'll see how they do with their with this new life which Tuchel has given them after the boring ways of Southgate. In any case, the rest of the day is gonna play out with Ghana versus Panama at 7 p.m. in Toronto. Should be a quick, easy game for Ghana. No disrespect to Panama. I don't rate them. Ghana is a very good African team. 2-0. Not nothing crazy really. And Uzbekistan, Colombia. Colombia should have the better of the game. We'll see how they fare. Probably. mm, I'll pick Colombia to win 2-1. 2-1 for that game. Well, actually, no. I'm gonna pull up a little bit surprise. Let's have 2-2. Let's have Uzbekistan get a draw. There will probably be at least one draw today. Look, everyone, that's going to be it for this video. Thank you so very much for joining me once again for the recap and look ahead. I do hope you are enjoying the comment. Please do leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment as well, and share the video. But until next time, let us see what we shall have in store as the final a round of matches shall come to a head pretty soon. Thank you very much for joining me. May God bless you. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye bye.